Hi friends, we're going to make a cute little wall hanging, a Christmas ornament. And before we get started, I've got a piece of cardboard that I just tore off. It's probably about 3 inches high, probably 12 or 13 inches wide. It doesn't have to be exact, but I just wet the entire top. And I'm going to let it sit there for a minute while I work on this. So I've got the wood round and the faux metal tile from Dollar Tree. And so I'm tracing the circle on the back of the tile. Then I'll cut that out. And it ends up being a little bit bigger than the wood tile, so I will cut some of that off after I get it glued on really well. Struggled right here for a bit, and I finally got it cut out. And so there's the plastic backing you just take off. And so I'm just going to hot glue it on there a half at a time, and you have to be very careful because the hot glue feels really hot through this tile. So don't burn your fingertips. Be very careful. Had to get another glue gun glue stick in my glue gun. So I'm just going to hot glue the other side. Get it on there really well. Here I'm going to cut off the excess tile that's hanging over in some spots. Now I'm going to paint the top of it in Moss Chalk Paint by Waverly. And I'm just using a foam dauber. I get my foam daubers now on Amazon. They come in a big pack with different sizes. So the link to those will be below the video. And I'm just putting on one really good coat. I'm just making sure I get all the little cracks and crevices. Sometimes when you've got these raised surfaces, it's easy to miss a few spots. So I look over it carefully and just make sure I'm getting all the little spots. This is such a pretty green for more of a vintage Christmas look. It's great for fall. Such a pretty color. Just dabbing it on, make sure I get all those little spots. And I'll just give that a quick dry with my heating tool. You can use a blow dryer, or you can let it air dry, of course. I saw a little bit more that needed cut off right there. And now I'm going to peel the top part of the cardboard off, and as you can see, it just came off super easy after it sits wet for a few minutes. So now I'm just going to use a foam dauber again and paint in white Adirondack chalk paint by Folk Art. And I'm using a 2-inch wood ring as well, so I'm painting that the same color of white. And as I go over this, as you can see, it doesn't get down in the grooves, and that's the look I wanted. That's perfect for the little ornament top holder on my ornament. I really like the way it looks. Finish getting all the way around that ring, and then I'll quickly dry those both as well. Now I'm going to use that same white, and I'm going to go over all the raised edges. So I'm not pouncing up and down, I'm going sideways and swiping it over. And as you can see, it just really comes to life. It just leaves white all over those raised edges, and I think it looks so pretty. And I could have left it like this, but I end up, in a minute, you'll see I use some Rub and Buff copper color as well on it. But right now it's just so pretty. And in the middle there, I got a little bit too much white where I didn't want it. I'll point to it here in a moment. Right there. So I'm just going to get a little dab of green moss on my fingertip and just go over it. And after that dries, you can't even tell. So again, I'm just using my heating tool and making sure it's good and dry. Now I'm going to fold and cut this cardboard in half. And that, as you can probably tell, is going to be the little holder on my ornament. So here's the rub and buff I was talking about. I'm going to start by putting some of this on the cardboard, just in a few random spots. Just give it a little more rusty look, rustic, little glistening. And it doesn't take much. You just put it a little bit on your fingertips, and I wasn't sure where to put it on at first, but I'm just going over the raised little flowers on the inner parts there of that ornament, just a little bit here and there. Just to kind of blend it all in and give it that more rustic, older look. That small tube of rub and buff will last me a long time. You really don't have to use much at all. So now I'm going to go use my Kiehl's Dark Sealing Wax and a dauber from Hobby Lobby and just go around all the edges really well. Just give it that aged, worn look. I'm doing the same on the cardboard, mostly the edges and the corners, but a little bit in the center as well. Getting it on the ring as well, just to blend it all in, make it all match. Then I'll wipe off the excess a little bit on my napkin there. So I'm trying to decide where I want the top, and I'm going to glue this on, and I went to glue it on, and my glue gun hadn't been on the little charging plate, so it had cooled off. So I had to go off there and heat that back up. So I've got the front glued on, then I'll do the same with the back piece, and I'll line it up with that front piece. Now I'm going to glue that wood ring in the center there to make my ornament top. To look at it straight on and make sure I've got it right in the center. Now I'm going to close up those two pieces of cardboard and sew them together on the sides and a little bit at the top. I also reinforce that wood and ring too and put a little more glue inside there and make sure it's in there really well. I decided I need a little bit more darkening around the edges. It's really coming together. Now I've got these berry and twigs from Hobby Lobby. They're in their Christmas section. So I'm just kind of pulling them apart. There's 3 branches, and I'm just going to use 2. And I'm going to put the center more at the left of the ornament, not center it. So I'm just kind of pulling them out and laying them where I want them to lay. Then I'm going to put a big glob of glue right in the center there and hold it for a moment till it kind of sets up. So as I'm holding it, I'm kind of spreading out some of those little twigs where I want them to bend and go. So as you can see, one's kind of going down to the left slightly, and then one's going over the top. Now here in my mind, I was thinking, because I'm going to put 2 poinsettias in the middle of those twigs, but I wanted some twine loops behind it. So I'm just using my mini Bodabra, going back and forth with a bunch of twine, kind of make a little twine bow. But I end up not using this, so I will definitely use this for something else. But Anyway, you can see what I was doing here. So I bring those up and tie them in a knot in the middle. So I set that aside for a minute. So now I'm just pulling off 2 poinsettias and 2 bunches of leaves to go behind them. And I'll glue those together. In fact, on this one, I believe it is, I really kind of burnt my finger to be so careful. Right there. I don't know how many times I've burnt my fingers with my glue gun. So I'm setting those aside. Now I'm going to use these rusty jingle bells that I got on Amazon. And I'm going to get a long piece of twine and tie one at each end. Then I just kind of decide how long I want it. And I don't want them to hang evenly. I want one to hang lower than the other one. So I just kind of decide where I need to tie that other knot. And I trim the ends off and I fray those edges a little bit. So I just put a little dab of glue right in the center of that and just kind of hook that twine in there. And this is where I glued the twine, big twine bow on. But once I start putting the poinsettias on, it didn't even show anyway. So I kind of thought, oh, that was a waste of my time. So I decided right here just to not even use it. So now I'm just going to glue these little poinsettias on. But before I do that, I decided I wanted some Excelsior behind it. So I pull out some globs of it and just kind of glue the ends on and fluff it. And it's pretty crazy, but after it's dried on there, then I can trim it up. Just kind of using the end of my glue gun to push it down. And now I get to put the pretty flowers on. Then I put some more Excelsior down underneath in a couple spots. Just kind of bend it and then make a bunch together, a little piece that I can easily glue on. Trimming it up, and I decided it needed a little bit more if I remember right. So right here I'm going to put a little bit more underneath those poinsettias. And I'll give those long pieces a good trim too. So it's coming together. I'm almost done. And it's hard to show you the whole thing in my camera screen. Now I have these Merry Christmas tags that I printed on my computer. And then I printed it on craft paper. And then I put a layer of black cardstock behind that. And then behind that I put a piece of chipboard. And then just used my Kiehl's dark sealing wax and kind of, vintaged it up. And then I put it right behind there in the middle of the ornament, kind of off to the side. And there she is. I think she turned out so pretty. I hope this inspires you to make something similar. Appreciate you watching. And please like and subscribe. And you have a whimsical day. Thank you so much.